Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sun Up on 7. It's Wednesday, and we're so excited to have you here with us. Before we get into our next conversation, let me remind you can follow us on our various social media platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And of course, if you miss any of our conversations, you can find them on our YouTube channel. With that, let me remind you to share our pages within your social network. Let's keep the Sun Up on 7 family growing. I'm really excited for this segment. I mean, I have a really good friend of mine, Nicole Craig, and she's here talking to the many hats that she wears. A scientist, advocate, as an artist. Nicole, you're full-fledged today, and I absolutely love it. Oh, man, you're looking so gorgeous today.
Thank you.
How are you
so
feeling?
Are you both? I'm feeling all right. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I'm excited for this segment because we don't have to talk to you. We have to hear you sing.
Yes,
I'm
that's
here
quite a
for
treat.
it.
We talk about the reef and we sing about the earth.
Oh man, I love it
it's
for
quite
us
a
guys.
vibe.
And for people that they go through their hump, then like I can't make it through. Nicole got on the back, guys. Nicole about to give one of their sweet symphonies and just make a I just go right there. I can't do
Nicole.
what you're doing. I never sound
Yes.
correct.
So today we're going to be having a conversation on the Reef Report Card.
Right.
Right. So this happens periodically, and of course, Belize, we brag about how we have the second largest barrier reef or the largest living barrier reef. Our tourism industry basically like basks on our reef, but we got to know how it stands, right?
Right.
So let's start by having the conversation on how does this reef get measured?
How does a reef get measured? Well,
Yeah.
that is an interesting question because it stems from something that's pretty complex. When you think about all the things that are important on a reef, what do you count? It's like, when you do your report card, you take like 8, 9, 10 subjects, but people really only care about English and maths sometimes, right? So it's like, how do you pick the things that are important, right?
Yes.
So when you just ask yourself out loud, what are those things? It could be things that are easily measurable, like temperature, light, salinity, and then there are aspects of it that you might not even really think are aspects, like the community and culture aspect of it, but how do you measure those things? Right? And so you have to kind of choose the indicators that we would call them that will still give you information, but that you could measure and do over time. It's feasible to collect this information over time. So that came down to 4 things for us. Coral cover, which is the amount of coral on the bottom of the sea. It's macroalgae cover, the amount of macroalgae on the bottom of the sea. Herbivorous fish biomass and commercial fish biomass, which is how much we have of both of those. Okay. And not just in numbers, but also in weight. Because you could say I have 2 or something, but how big are they, right? So it also matters what size they are. And so that's what biomass encompasses, both the number and the size.
Biomass.
You're learning? Look at you learning.
I knew that, Kevin.
I knew that, yeah.
You know that. Okay. So I think what's super important is people think about, healthy reef, healthy people. And I think that's something where it needs to be dissected to understand why is it so important to have a healthy reef. Because when I was checking out the report card and I saw 2016 we were doing way better than how we're doing in 2021 when it comes to, the health of our reef. And so it's an action where every single person is supposed to be thinking about the health of our reef. Because even if you don't go buy the reef, it directly affects you in some kind of way.
Right.
And so why is it so important that we understand healthy reef, healthy people?
Well, I think that name is a powerful one in itself because it really shows the dependence that both things have on each other. A healthy reef can't really be healthy if the people who depend on it aren't healthy. Think about it. When people are hungry, when people are frustrated and they can't take care of their families, they're going to do what they have to do. But if we take care of our people, if we put people in a position where they have the resources they need to thrive, they're going to help the reef thrive because it's something that they work together. And so we have to recognize that we are not independent systems, but rather we depend on our reef and our reef depends on us.
Right. So the health of the reef is like an indicator as to what we're doing inland and what...
With the wrong or right to it.
It could be looked at that way as well, that's correct.
Yeah, right.
I just realized that, really what we're doing inland because that directly affects
That's
because
correct.
it all just connects. I had the whole moment of like, it really all just connects.
It really does.
And then also, what's important in this report card, I believe people should really be able to check out the information, is we're not only comparing Belize Reef, we're looking at other places too as well.
Right.
And so I think that's important that we can get like a standing and seeing like how good we're doing. I mean, we're not doing as best as we should be doing, but looking at, Guatemala, Mexico and everything and like,
the reef is actually a long stretch, almost 1,000 kilometers long, and we start that point from around like Cancun area. and it goes all the way down to Honduras, and it's one system. It's alive. It's not the reef's fault that we decided to draw lines at Belize, and the reef existed prior to us dividing our countries, and so we have to understand that we share it, and most importantly, the reef is connected. So some things that we do here will impact the reef beyond here, and things that happen beyond here affect the reef we have here. I've heard of studies that have looked into like coral and lobster and conch and when they spawn and where it goes and what ends up here sometimes didn't originate here. The spawn came from somewhere else, So by taking care of our populations, we're helping others, and when others take care of their populations, they're helping us. So it's important, and that's what the initiative was really about. Everybody in this region working together to protect this reef and conserve this reef, because no matter where you are in this reef, not all of the outcomes depend on your actions in your space. You need everybody around you to be doing the same thing that you're doing with the same amount of effort and energy.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. So Nicole, let's talk about. So this is the preview of the Reef Report Card,
Right.
right? So if we zoom into Belize, where are we? Renata was saying she saw a number that really like puts us in a critical condition.
20,
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, in 2016, I was like, we were at like 2.6 at some point, and then now we're like 2.3 or something like that. I'm trying to remember the number specifically.
Yeah, and even better in 2018, 2020 report card, we had a 3.0. We were at our peak and we were doing well. And then all of a sudden, we saw this major decline. And so there are a lot of questions as to, okay, what happened? So the numbers as they are at this moment, we know that, coral cover increased by 1%, and that is a good thing. But when you think about breaking that down and what kinds of coral are they, you realize that a lot of the bigger ones, when you think about a vibrant, big, healthy reef, you always see these big, giant corals, right? But at this time, our brain coral, for example, are
Montastrias.
they're suffering from an intense coral disease that really impacted their numbers. And so, there are ongoing, efforts to try and treat this disease that's impacting our reef. Because at the end of the day, we need a lot of those bigger colonies to help reproducing and to help build the reef and continue. You know how long it takes for them to grow, so we need to keep them going, right? And so, although we're seeing increases, we need to be aware of the fact, what is reproducing? What types of corals are there, right? And then macroalgae has been decreasing, and that's good. We want less macroalgae, but we saw a decline in herbivorous fish, for example, and herbivorous fish like parrotfish eat algae. So if we don't have as many of them, what do you think might happen to the algae? Correct? And the same thing with commercial fish. We see almost, they both were decreased by about half or more. And so that's really alarming for our reef. We depend on these animals or these organisms in different ways, and they play different roles. And so seeing their numbers decline so much is very alarming.
Yeah. So Nicole, what are some of the hypotheses behind the decline in fish numbers, for instance? I'm thinking overfishing.
That boss kind of does me.
That's one of them, and I know we're going to have a conversation about something related to that later today, and that's definitely one of them. When you think about, really look at this report card, information was collected in 2021, and the previous report card was collected in 2018. What happened between 2018 and 2021?
COVID, but that never touched a fish.
Did it not though? I mean, there were a lot of people who had to feed their families. Fishermen were able to go and fish freely, and it must have been challenging for enforcement to be out there in the same amount of presence that they normally would be. So it's something that we need to explore, talking to area managers and talking to fisher folk and really asking them, what was your experience during the pandemic? Did you see a lot more boats out there? And at the same time, even beyond then, what is it like now? The numbers that we have calculated and counted, what is your reality? What do you see? It's something that's not a conversation for only me to have, but for those who actually use the resource to also engage and for us to really talk about solutions and understand what's really going on. But beyond fishing, you have to talk about some real truths. Climate change is real. And at the end of the day, the waters are warmer. And due to that, there's a whole lot of additional hypotheses about fish could be moving.
Right.
And so I've heard about, about on-spag dives where sometimes the fish are a bit deeper because it's a bit cooler down there. And so maybe you can't count you can count what's in front of you, but not what's beneath you. And so you have to understand there may be patterns that we don't understand about fish movement. But beyond that as well, there's a lot of coastal destruction. And juvenile fish spend so much time in mangroves and seagrass beds. And so as we're engaging a lot of unsustainable development, we're impacting the habitats of these juvenile fish. And you can't have big fish if you don't have small fish.
Right.
And so
Girl.
there are a lot of factors that play into
Yeah.
this. And which one is, I don't think it's just one to blame. I think it's a combination of many things happening. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done to really dive into what we can do to fully understand this issue and then work towards solutions. And that's part of the report card, to really call these things out and hope to get that audience and get that voice and work towards solutions with the communities and with our governments. So.
Yeah. What I'm also thinking, as you were saying, what did we observe in these years? I think there was an increase in the tourism. We saw an increase in flights. We saw an increase in number of persons coming in. So obviously that calls a demand.
Yeah, it would cause
it demands
a demand.
in fisheries, demands in people going out there and engaging with the reef. And by experience, I can see how that can also affect the health of the
Right,
reef.
yeah.
Right. So what we're talking today again is the preview of the launch of the Reef Report Card. So when will this report be official and people can get it and start?
Well, there
diving into it?
was a pre-launch, because at the end of the day, the report card normally takes like 6 to 8 months to put together, because apart from the information we want to convey, we spend a lot of time about how we want to convey it,
Yes.
making sure we choose the right words, choose the right images, and consult with the right people and get it printed. But beyond that, I think we realize that if we take 6 to 8 months to reveal this information, we're holding back something that's really important from people. People need to know right now that things are in a critical state. And so we chose to launch this information now, and then around August or September, we'll have the full results. So in the full results, we can expect to see a lot more breaking down of these indicators. So one of the things we mentioned in our video that we released was that we're seeing a lot of smaller fish. So we want to show the commercial fish that we did count and what sizes they were and how little of them were actually big. And the bigger fish, the more mature fish, are the ones that reproduce and replenish the population. So if we have only really small fish, we are slowly seeing the population change. And so it's stories like that we're going to explore. And we're also going to look at enforcement. And not in a bad way as well. It's one of those things where we understand the importance of enforcement and we understand the role that they play in making sure that the health of the reef is maintained. But it's a challenging situation, it's a challenging position, and the resources that they have to do their job are limited. I'm sure Mr. Gamboa will touch on that. And it's something that I think people tend to not fully understand how difficult it is and the work that they need to do with what they have. And so it's more of a way of highlighting just how much they have done with the little that they have and encouraging us to support and encouraging us to just find the money to support them, find the money to give them the resources that they need to do their jobs better and why it's important. So, yeah.
I hear you. Nicole, thank you so much for giving us a brief about the Reef Report Card and the importance of us, engaging with it, understanding, what the data is showing, but also seeing how it affects our lives. Let's sit there, absorb it, and see what is my impact on the reef and how does the reef impact me.
This is a perfect call for all those NGOs out
perfect
there,
call for
all
it,
those youth groups that love the barrier reef, that love just in general, just the environment. This is perfect for them to peruse and see, how can we fit in all of this? And so could you just let them know exactly where they can be able to find the report card right now?
Well, yeah, on our website, healthyreefs.org, we have the preview file available, but also on YouTube. You can easily find, we have a YouTube channel called Healthy Reefs, and we have our 5-minute video that we created that gives the overview of
For the ones that don't like to read through, you can just
yeah,
sit
for
down
those who don't like
there
it,
and
because
watch the video.
I was kind of the advocate for the video because I recognize there's a certain age range and below that we don't want to read all of that. But if you show us pictures and show us fish swimming, we have our attention.
That's a smart idea, yeah.
I love the video, man. I love it for you guys. So please, by all means, guys, go out and check out these things. Be informed and make sure you're acting accordingly to the information that you know. Knowledge makes actions different, guys, and so we can do that. And so we also can do a song. We have a performance by Nicole Craig. Oh my gosh, guys!
Yes, so Nicole is performing "Raise My Voice." Nicole knows this is one of my favorite songs. You know.
So you want to put your back into it? No.
It's actually
not that kind of song.
I know it's about watching Kevin.
But she loves me putting my lung back into it.
Oh my gosh, no, it's not that kind of song.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to this performance. You really raise my voice. It's the song featured in Tecuani and the Duende.
Right.
So we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we're back, we have that performance by Nicole Craig. Stay tuned for that.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Surrounded by all that I love, always thought it was enough. Now it seems incomplete, and right now I'm thinking of a world I've never seen, a world I wish I knew. He speaks of a wonder come alive, the kind that wakes you up inside, makes you brave to face your fear, ignites a fire in your eyes. Maybe it's not a dream, maybe it's all true. We always used to find a way to be. Why does it have to be a memory? Don't wanna forget. I wanna know. Maybe all it takes to break through the noise is to raise my voice, speaking for a world far beyond what I see. Everything can change, that's all up to me. Don't wanna forget, I wanna know. This land where life was running free is changing right in front of me. Crystal streams, our wildest dreams are now what used to be. Maybe we've lost our way, maybe we need to see that there's no greater treasure left to find. It doesn't have to be what's left behind. Don't wanna forget, I wanna know. Maybe all it takes to break through the noise is to raise my voice, speaking for a world far beyond what I see. Everything can change, that's all up to me. Don't wanna forget, I wanna know. We keep searching for a little more, taking everything standing in our way. I wish we'd open up our eyes before. This is all that we have. Don't wanna forget. I wanna know. Maybe all it takes to break through the noise is to raise my voice, speaking for a world far beyond what I see. Everything can change, and that's all up to me. Don't wanna forget, I wanna know. Don't wanna forget, I wanna know. Don't wanna forget.